Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I did. I got to work on one of my old Mustangs that I'm currently putting floors in and trying to get it ready. To get it running again. It sat in an old boy's backyard since 2003 when I bought it about 6 weeks ago. It does run. And I've had it running, but the carburetor was all messed up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And had a fantastic weekend because my Razorbacks have won 2 games in the NCAA tournament. Last night, they won, and, I'm filming this on Sunday morning. But last night, Saturday night, they won in an absolutely incredible defensive game. Look, for the first half, neither team could score a bucket. I'm not sure that either team could score a bucket if they were on a ladder above the basket trying to throw it down. Gads, it was a horrible offensive performance. But Arkansas's defense is just, it's just literally unbelievable. It's a joy to watch. If you like high-scoring games, it's not much to watch. But I want to tell you, when they turn the pressure up, they're just unbelievable. Now, this upcoming Thursday, they get to play the number 1 seed, Gonzaga. Not quite sure they can get over that hump, but hey, we'll see. They are a tenacious, gritty, tough team. So, woo pig suey. All right? Forgive me my folly here. Okay. We are continuing our study of the Olivet Discourse. We've been focused on Matthew chapter 25, 31, and following. The story of, obviously, the resurrection. It's the coming of the Son of Man with his angels and judgment of every man, and the parallelisms between Matthew chapter 24, 29 to 31, and Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following should cause us to see that Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following is the same thing as Matthew chapter 24, 29 and following, which would mean the Olivet Discourse is not divided. It is a singular discourse about one subject. It's absolutely amazing to me. And so I want to present these parallelisms, even though I have touched on this a bit before. All right? Daniel chapter 7, Daniel said, I saw one like the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, and it came before the Ancient of Days. There was given unto him a kingdom and dominion of power over every kindred, tongue, nation, and tribe, a kingdom that shall never pass away. Now, scholars are very much in agreement that when we come to the New Testament and we find the prophecies by Jesus of the coming of the Son of Man on the clouds with the angels in judgment, that this is a direct echo of what? Daniel chapter 7. Now, if that's true, and it is, make no mistake, but if that's true, then when Jesus spoke about his coming on the clouds of heaven with the angels in judgment and in the kingdom, then it's not talking about his ascension, as some try to say, and as I used to believe, by the way, but rather it is his coming in judgment. Now, watch this, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely critical. And I'm going to get back on the flip side to our examination of the Great Tribulation immediately before the resurrection, and we'll be going back to Revelation chapter 11 to show that consistent narrative. But here this morning, I just wanted to remind you of something that is so incredibly powerful. Okay? So here we have Daniel predicting the coming of the Son of Man, and that coming of the Son of Man is his coming as the Ancient of Days, as the Old Greek, and the Old Greek is a set of manuscripts of the Septuagint, and it's not your normal Septuagint, it's the Old Greek, so that's kind of the technical term for it. But in the Old Greek, this coming of the Son of Man in Daniel chapter 7 is the Son of Man coming as the Ancient of Days. Not going to dwell on that. But the coming of the Son of Man as the Ancient of Days is the coming of the Son of Man in judgment of the little horn of Daniel chapter 7. It is his coming in judgment of the little horn. And here's the kicker to all of this. In Daniel chapter 7, the little horn is manifested, comes to power, if you please, and engages in persecution of the saints, here's the key, in the days of the Fourth Empire. Well, what are the days of the Fourth Empire? They're the days of Rome. So guess what? In Matthew 10, 22 and 23, Jesus warned his apostles that as they went to preach, they were to flee from city to city. And Jesus said, you will not have fled throughout all the cities of Israel until the Son of Man is come. That's Daniel 7, 13 and 14. Matthew 16, 27 and 28. The Son of Man will come in the glory of the Father with his angels and shall reward every man according to his works. And you know, just over this last week, one individual said, you're misquoting that. It doesn't say every man. Well, it's the Greek word hikastos, and it's each man. Well, if it's give each man according to his works, then how many men are left out? Each man. That's why many translations render it every man. You know, this is just another form of argumentum ad desperatum. So I challenge this individual to show the difference between each man in Matthew 16, 27 and all the nations in Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following. Well, strangely, he just went silent on that. And the reason being, he knows each man is representative of, quote, all the nations. There is no limitation of each man in Matthew. So, the point being, however, here's the coming of the Son of Man. Now remember, the coming of the Son of Man is in judgment of Daniel 7. Matthew 16, 27 is the coming of the Son of Man in judgment. And Jesus said in Matthew 16, 28, verily I say unto you, there are some standing here which shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Well, Daniel 7 is the coming of the Son of Man in his kingdom. So Daniel 7 is the coming of the Son of Man in the judgment of the little horn in the days of the Fourth Empire, which is the days of Rome. Matthew 16, 27 and 28 is the coming of the Son of Man in judgment of the persecutor, and his coming in the kingdom before all of that generation passed away. Then we have Matthew chapter 24, 29 to 31. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. There's our tribulation reference again. The sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars of heaven shall be shaken, the powers of the heaven shall be shaken, and they will see the sign of the Son of Man in the heaven, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with great glory. This is Daniel chapter 7. Well, let's see. When did Jesus say this coming of the Son of Man would be? In power and great glory? Oh, verse 34, it would be in that generation. Then we come to Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following. We have the coming of the Son of Man with the angels when he would sit on the throne of his glory. This is the kingdom. This is Daniel chapter 7, which would be fulfilled in the days of Rome. This is Matthew 10, 23, which would be fulfilled in the lifetime of the apostles. This is Matthew 16, 27 and 28, which is the coming of the Son of Man and the glory of the Father in the judgment, in the kingdom, before all those people died. Thus, Matthew chapter 25 being taken from, listen to me carefully. virtually all commentators agree that Matthew 25, 31 and following is the coming of Daniel chapter 7. Okay? But the coming of the Lord with his angels in the kingdom of Daniel chapter 7 is the coming of the Son of Man in the days of the Roman Empire. By the way, at the climax of the tribulation brought about by the persecution of the saints. And this destruction, or the coming of the Son of Man, is in destruction of that persecuting power, which, by the way, was Israel. We thus have a continuous, harmonious, united narrative of passages about the coming of the Son of Man with his angels in judgment in the first century generation. And that means that Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following is not a divided discourse. It's not about, AD 70, and then, never mind that now. Now we're talking about the end of the world. No. Folks, there is one coming of the Son of Man with his angels in judgment in the kingdom that is taught in Scripture, and it had to occur in the days of Rome, in the lifetime of the apostles, in the lifetime of the first century generation, in that generation. The testimony is explicit. The testimony is powerful. Only by ignoring or distorting and perverting this perfect, united narrative can you rip Matthew chapter 25, 31 out and say, well, all of those others had to do with the events of the first century, the days of Rome. But Matthew chapter 25, 31 and following was not fulfilled at the same time. Well, then you have two coming of the Son of Man events when the Scripture only knows of one. Okay, out of time for this morning. Don't forget, go to my website. Tons of articles there, absolutely free of charge. Go to my website, get my book, The Last Days Identified, because you see, guess what? The coming of the Lord, the coming of the Son of Man was to be in the last days. And the last days were the last days of Old Covenant Israel, which occurred during the days of the Fourth Empire, i.e. the days of Rome. Go to my website, go to the store, order a copy of The Last Days Identified. You will be absolutely fantastically thrilled that you did. Hey, I'll see you on the flip side.